So hello everyone. Yes enough. I'm gonna help Emmoji cast during this run that she's gonna do of N++, a game that was originally released on the PlayStation 4 back in 2015. She's gonna do the E-roll of N++, which is a particularly hard run, but she's been practicing it a lot and she has quite good standings on speedrun.com. So I guess we should start with the countdown. So whenever you're ready, Emmoji, you want to count down yourself?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go! So a few easier levels on the beginning of the row, but then things will start to get very hard, very easily. So a little bit about N++ itself. It's a precision platformer, like you can see. It has some similarities with more famous games like Celeste and stuff like that. But N was actually one of the first precision platformers that really got famous. It was originally released back in 2005, I believe, as a Flash game. And then it suffered a few alterations, and eventually it went to consoles, which was really good because it got a lot more notoriety. And eventually they did this N++ version that is also available on Steam and a lot of different platforms, as I mentioned before, Xbox, on Switch, stuff like that. Concept is really simple. Get to the Switch, get to the exit door, try not to die. If you're feeling particularly happy with your state of affairs, you can also collect all the gold. And what Emmoji is doing right now is doing a speed run, which is just trying to clear the whole levels of a specific row as fast as possible. There are different kind of entities on the level. You can see some evil ninjas on this game in particular. We call them evil because they're always at the wrong place at the wrong time. Which is kind of sarcastic because they're following our path, so it's ourselves in the past that are in the wrong place at the wrong time. She's already doing pretty good, already on the first episode of the run, because on N++ we start counting on 0, as any proper computer nerd should do. So this is actually the first episode on E-Road. She just finished E00. There are a lot of levels on N++, over 4,000 overall. So a lot of gameplay, and once you're done playing all the levels on normal mode, you can replay them, trying to get all the gold. And there are also some secret stuff, some secret challenges for you to do. So overall it's a game that really takes a lot of time to really clear everything. If you want to 100% it, it's a total nightmare. People spend over 600 hours trying to 100% this game. I'm sure a few guys done it in a lot lower time, and there aren't that many people who 100%ed this game, despite it being available since 2015. I think it's like a dozen people who've done it so far. It just takes so long. It's such amount of effort. You can spend like entire hours just cranking on one specific level. And once you get bored out of that, you also have some user levels made by the community themselves, which are like a dozen a day that come out, and people have fun doing their own maps and stuff like that. So a pretty nice community, which is why I'm part of it, and Emmoji is also part of it. And we've been doing a few more speedrun efforts lately, of which Emmoji is a good champion. She's been running E-roll for quite a while now, and she's gotten pretty good at it. She has a very decent personal best. She's second place worldwide right now, only first place by SimVO, which is notoriously has a lot more world records on other rows on N++. So he's a really pro player, one of the few people who did 100% as well. You see some special strats here, some slope jumps. Everyone hates slope jumps. I definitely hate slope jumps. And a lot of these levels, you kind of memorize the path, but the first time you play it, it's kind of hard to do everything properly. So there are like a few different moments when you're playing N++. One moment where you're trying to figure out the path that you should be taking, and another one where you're trying to execute the path that you should be taking. So so it's a different kind of way to do it, and sometimes you see the path but you can't execute it, and it can get terribly frustrating. I call these levels terror drone levels, because it's an absolute terror to go through it, and Emmoji does it so gracefully. She really practiced these levels a lot of times. And yeah, since the objective is doing speedrun, she avoids a lot of the gold on most of these places, just going directly for the switches. There are a few little things that change different entities. You can see some ghost turrets here, some floor guards that chase once you touch the floor. There are also some additional switches to complicate the path a little bit more, forcing you to go to certain places where you really don't want to go. Some of these mines are also trigger mines. They're not immediately active, they're only active once you pass through them once. And you see a lot of those as well. She's doing pretty good so far. Nice clean run, no major mistakes. It's normal on this speed run that you die a few times on levels. What you really want to avoid is like dying at the very end of the level, which forces you to redo the whole thing. This is another of those levels that has a weird dynamic to it. And a lot of the levels on N++ have this very interesting design. There were some talks at the GDC, I believe, from the creators, Reagan and Mar, talking about level design specifically for N++. Because you really try to milk everything out of the limit that you have. It's a single screen, you only have this certain amount of enemies, only this certain amount of tiles for you to do stuff with. So you gotta be a little bit inventive, but at the same time you can do so many different kind of gameplay options to it and aesthetics, and it's really interesting kind of stuff that you can see. You can see some lasers as well, which is also a very annoying entity on the level. And hopefully Emmoji can catch that switch and not get zapped. Yeah. And climb her way back up. So some levels are just falling down a pit. Some levels you have to go around different chambers. Some we call them mine sweeper traps, because you have to dodge all the mines. Oops, a mine right there that she didn't dodge. And since it all depends on precision, it really depends how high you jump, how fast you go. N++ is very based on momentum, velocity that you have, and especially vertical momentum is important if you want to make sure that you clear all the jumps properly. Doing the wall jumps also needs to have specific timing triggering. So a lot of precision stuff into the different levels. This level features one of the most hated elements on N++, which is the death ball that just chases around you and tries to gently tap you out of existence. Up to episode 05. As I was mentioning early on in the race, these first episodes aren't that hard. They're kind of hard because they are on the E roll, but they're not extremely hard. So you'll see much harder stuff coming up on the later episodes. That being said, there usually is some sort of balance between making at least one of the levels on the episode harder than the rest. Usually it's the last one, the fourth one. Sometimes there's also one right in the beginning. What else can I say? Oh, this level. This one is particularly interesting. Because usually if you fall from a certain distance, you splat. But if you fall like this, you hug a wall. If you hug a wall, you don't splat. Obviously. Ninja tactics. So a lot of levels you can do these kind of mechanics, and they look so clean and easy as M is doing this robotically with the precision of a surgeon, but it can be really hard for you as a novice to land these things. At the same time, it's so rewarding when you land the exact jump that you really needed on that specific moment, which is probably what makes N++ so addictive to so many people. A lot of people that play N++ also come from other speedrunning scenes, Celeste or Super Meat Boy. There was some references that Super Meat Boy was originally made based out of the physics of N++, or the original N actually. But yeah, N++ became an entity of itself. The original N was released in 2005. It was originally a Flash game. So it's one of the older precision-based platformers out there for a Windows platform. Of course, platformers exist since the 80s. I remember playing Chucky Egg on my Spectrum, so this doesn't feel that far away from that concept of little person going around the room trying to get to the objective. But it does have a certain unique aesthetic nowadays. It's another very interesting level. The lasers only show up at certain moments of time. These things that you can see there that all go to the side, all the ones, we call them thwomps, because they make the thwomp sound when you touch them. And if you touch them while they are recovering, you get zapped out of existence, so beware of that. Another level you need to be careful of, especially because of those damn slopes. I really hate the slopes. And they even put some additional switches that you can touch to make your life even harder. Another one done. Over to episode 07. Some more drones. Oh, you just get out of the way. You just run forward and they get out of your way. That's awesome. This level is also particularly hard. Oh, she fumbled there a little bit. I remember spending a lot of hours trying to clear this one for the first time that I played this level. So it can really be treacherous. And this part on the bottom can get so frustratingly hard if you don't time this properly. She did not manage to get zapped, which is good. Onwards to the exit. What else can I say about N++? There is a story to this game. I can give you the storyline. So we have this lore information behind it. Every game needs story. Every game needs context. So here is the story of N++. You are a ninja. Full stop. Your godlike speed, dexterity, jumping power, and reflexes are all the result of an amazingly fast metabolism. Tragically, so is your natural lifetime of 1.5 minutes. Like all ninjas, you have an unquenchable thirst for gold, a natural propensity for exploring rooms infested by increasingly lethal ninja-killing robots, and a devout belief in N. N, the way of the ninja, is a highly advanced system of spiritual, cognitive, and physical training. It emphasizes pacifism, humility, and the need to traverse a series of 5 rooms before the end of your lifetime. A feat known as beating an episode. In accordance with the teachings of N, it is your profound hope that one day you will develop the skill, intelligence, and inexplicable ability to reincarnate necessary to achieve mastery of all episodes. ++. So yeah, some deep lore right there for you. It's one of the selling points of N++ actually, is that they don't have like any weapons or any live systems. They're like hardcore platformers. You die, that's it, you have to restart the level. No save points, things like that. If you check the trailer for N++, they really make kind of a mockery of that. Excuse me while I cough. Nice little quirk there going around the laser to avoid that death ball. Ooh, this level, I really hate those hidden thingies. And you will see that touching the switch, you also unleash the mini drones, which is another of the deadliest, scariest, dreadfulest creatures on N++. I really hate mini drones. But there are clouds of them. First, they drag your CPU to a halt because they really take extra effort to render. So if you have a crappy CPU, mini drones will get you because of that, of lower frame rate. And then they're just really small and moving really fast. So it's kind of hard to make sure that they don't zap you or that you don't fall to your death. Anyways, another level cleared. What else can I say about N++? The soundtrack. Talk about the soundtrack. You can hear sound behind the melodic sound of my own voice. is music that was licensed especially for the games. It was music that developers were like listening to. They took commercial music instead of getting a person to do custom music explicit for, which is a especially hard part of the level. Which going down sometimes is a lot harder than going up, especially when you have these corridors with drones. Anyway, as I was saying, the music was especially chosen from commercial music, so it had to be specially licensed for the game. So there were a lot of music in it. I'm not sure exactly how many tracks. Let me see if I can figure that out real quick here on my own screen. Which how the hell do you go to the... Okay, I can't. But there are a lot of tracks. And you can mute the ones you don't like and tell the system to just not play them again. And you end up with a few favorite ones that get stuck to your head. This level is also very hard to do that skip. Well done there. We're starting to reach the part where some levels are really hard. This one I also remembered spending a lot of hours trying to finish this. And most of these levels, since it's in episode mode, the time that you take to do the initial levels carries on to the remaining levels. So if you are slow on the first levels, by some random reason, you end up with not very much time to finish the episode itself on the later levels, which are usually harder, so it's even more stressful. So that happens a lot when you're doing the normal playthrough. On this particular speed runs, you are so used to practicing the levels that they don't really, the time doesn't really come into play that often. And one of the only ways, oh, this level is very funny. Funny and dreadful. I had nightmares when I first played this level because of the part that you have to join near the end. Because this part in the beginning seems easy. Oh, you see the opening, go to the opening, you're going around all the little drone train, haha, so funny, just need to click right a few times. But this part now, coming to the up, you need to have the exact timing to get in there, which Emmoji just nailed. Well done. And that I spent so many times just dying there, doing the whole train and dying, and then doing the whole train again and dying. It really, it tests your patience a lot of the times. It's one of those kind of games. But there are so many levels available that, you know, if you are really frustrated with one of them, you can just move on to another episode and try to do something else. On this particular level there are 2 death balls. Double the power, triple the excitement. They are particularly annoying when they come in pairs because they do this thing where they bounce when they hit each other. And if 2 are annoying, you don't want to be in the same room locked with 3 death balls or more. Those are really hard. I think there will be many levels of those on the E19. Oh, no trouble there. Once you manage to improvise. But some people really hate when death balls are extremely packed because they really become unpredictable on the way that they will bounce. Most of the other entities are more or less predictable. Rockets, for example, are quite predictable. Ghost turrets are somewhat predictable, although some people still have issues with them. Drones are pretty clear on how they will operate. They always follow the same path, even though sometimes on the corners it's a bit hard to know in the heat of the moment if they are turning inwards or outwards, but mostly they are predictable. The ones that are really unpredictable are the death balls. They follow you, and then when they bounce you really have no clue which way they're gonna bounce, and they can often catch you unaware. Another episode. Some simple rockets, shouldn't be that hard to finish. Onwards to the next level. These are the mini drones causing some terror there. These paths, when you haven't practiced them and you don't know the timing of them exactly, they can be really hard. I end up having a feeling for them, but it's still, they call it drone vision. You need to get your drone vision on. And you can also set them up to have like these in-place rotations as you see them here. So just as moving obstacles. Another level clear. Well done. These things that fall towards you also have an interesting dynamic. You need to be aware of that. Some levels you even have to write them when they are in horizontal form instead of vertical. So they're really interesting entities that you can use on different sort of things. And another level cleared. I'm running out of things to say about N++. Luckily, we're reaching the harder parts of the level. Oof, this one is so hard. Just follow the path. Be one with the path that you have described. You should be fine. E12. I think it's around E14 that things really start to heat up. So we'll have to see how Emmoji performs then. To give you a sense of Emmoji's sense of dedication for E-Row, there are a few levels, they're called, well, the user levels that are on the hardest tab, and the hardest tab of user levels have a person that is very dedicated to playing the crew through, which is called Skylighter. And this person tried to speedrun E-Row, and his personal best was 55 minutes. And Emmoji is down to 36 minutes on her TV. So you can see the amount of dedication that she put forward, that she has almost double the time of people who are extremely known for being very precise on their gameplay. And we were actually discussing this earlier on N++ Discord, that it's speedrunning is more about consistency than precision. Of course, we also don't improvise as much. There's this skip here that Emmoji is trying to get, and she managed to land it now. It allows you to skip most part of the level, which is great for a speedrun, so I've heard. And yeah, what was I saying? So consistency versus skill. So since N++ is so precise on the mechanics, some people really focus a lot on getting, you know, the exact jumps in and the way that you can do, like hitting your head on specific corners and doing those kind of things, and being able to repeat that like once after 5,000 attempts, instead of being able to do entire episodes consistently. They don't practice the episodes, they just practice being able to do something perfectly. There are some folks also that focus on doing high score runs, so they like try to do the most perfect high score that they can, the fastest, catching all the goal ever possible, which is also very kind of big on N++ Discord. And yeah, and then there's speedrunners who just like to speedrun because it's fun. We're actually hoping to have more speedruns on the community. It feels kind of low compared to the other categories, like to how many map makers there are out there, to how many high scorers there are out there. It feels like there's not such a huge community speedrunning the game. And that there's still a lot of room for improvement to get like clean the world records into something that feels really unachievable. Of course, on earlier tabs of the game, like on the intro tab or A-row for the game, it's closer. A lot more people play those rows. But stuff like E-row that Emmoji is doing here, we don't have that many people running it, and it would be cool to see more people having a go at that. Well, people from other games that have tried other platform games before. If you think you have what it takes to speedrun N++, by all means, join the N++ Discord, and we'll happily give you some pro tips on how to set things up the quickest as possible. It's also a very interesting game, a very interesting level. I mean, have to be quick or the lasers zap you. Nice. Well, clear there. Ugh, mini drones. Hate mini drones. So yeah. If anyone has any questions on the chat, I'll be happily to talk about them. Otherwise, I can talk about minefields. How happy it is to stroll through a minefield relentlessly, flawlessly at high speed, as we say. Oh, and run into a mine, just to watch the beautiful explosions. You can define... there are a lot of palettes on N++, so if you get tired of a specific color, we've seen it already, Emmoji, you can clear it now. If you get tired of a specific color or contrast, there are like hundreds of palettes, literally, that you can choose from. Some that are completely horrible to play with, which I have no clue how anyone ever thought that was playable, to others that are quite good in terms of contrast and stuff like that. So you can customize a lot of your N++ experience that way with music that you want to hear and the colors that you want to see as well. And if you get tired of the in-game music, you can also just remove it and only have the sound effects, for example. Oof, this one. I have terrors about this one. Once you have the path nailed down, it's not that bad, but I don't know how she does this. I really don't. I just tremble in fear. In this section in particular, this corner here, I spent so many attempts doing that. It's like she's already through. Ah, that's what you get for playing cocky. This is one of those levels that we call them drone terror levels, because yeah, full of drones, and it's a terror to pass them. Or at least I call them drone terror levels. Have to do the exact amount of height on your jumps at exact timing. If you miss a cycle, you screw up most of your path. So a lot of hours went into practicing these and getting them just right. And it's curious when you see the replays of people doing this. Most of them follow the exact same path because it's like the optimum that you can possibly have. But some people deviate and can find some interesting path ideas on things like that. Not just this level. This level might be actually a bad example. I mean, the drone turbo level that we just saw, because drones kind of force you into a certain path that is faster. But a lot of other levels, they leave you some room for improvising where you could go to have that extra boost that you need. Another very easy level. Start off the episode. The developers also always try to balance things a little bit. Like the later levels of the episode are usually the hardest ones. Usually like the first and the second one are like easy ones, and maybe the second one is a bit hard, and then they have the third and the fourth one, or the second and the third if you count N++ way, a bit easier to do, and then the last one is usually the hardest one of the whole series. Other things worth mentioning is that this is E-row. Once you complete all of E-row, you also unlock the X-row, which is an additional batch of levels which are even crazier to accomplish. There are a lot of secret stuff on N++ stuff that you go unlocking, mostly in the form of levels, but also palettes, headbands. If you don't like the headbands that your little ninja guy has, you can also switch it up in terms of length and aesthetic performance. Which I never really got into. It just annoys me more, or becomes more, what's the word? Gets in the way of what you're doing. You like lose focus of what you're doing because you start looking at the headband. This is another of those interesting levels where you have to wait for the thing to come back and catch the lift. Very interesting level mechanics. So yeah, we're reaching the harder parts of the run. I have no clue if M is on her close to her PB or not. She was mentioning that her average is about 38 minutes, so let's see if she manages to reach that. If she has a few nasty deaths later on the series, we might reach 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and that would still be an awesome time. A lot better than I ever could accomplish. But I expect M to reach around 38, 39 if things go wrong. She's been practicing consistently throughout the week, so she should have these memorized. Evil ninjas. I hate evil ninjas. Some of these roles I really refuse to play because they have evil ninja levels. They're just annoying. This one also has a very interesting thing, which is a slope jump. They force you to do this particular slope jump. You will see in a second. Like once here, oof, and another one there, which is really hard to get just vertical. It's really hard to get the vertical thing. You need to be with the right momentum, and usually when you try to do the slope jump, they either throw you to the front or they throw you to the back. So it's really hard to get a proper vertical jump. So well done on that one. Next episode. This looks like a Medusa kind of thing. Some tentacles and stuff, and a very big head. Also, the level names of the user levels are usually quite fun. When not to jump is a good example of that. Another level really hard to do. I'll go. This one has one of those very interesting properties, which is coming up is a lot harder than coming down, because you're swimming against the current of those mini drones. So if you don't watch out, they'll really hit you. Tough jump there. Watch out for the floor guard. And manages to make it through. This was another of those levels that, for a first-time player, reaching this level is really hard to get. This one is also quite interesting. A lot of mine jumping around with a rocket on top of you, just to stress you out a little bit more. Oof, disco laser season. I hate these levels as well. You'll find that there's a common hatred for a lot of levels among the N++ community. Like, some people hate certain entities more than others, than other entities, but overall, when you commentate that I had troubles with this level, most people, instead of calling you a noob, they usually say, yeah, that was horrible. I also had nightmares on that one. So yeah, it's a pretty good community in that regard, in terms of the social aspect, in my humble opinion, of course. It's none of those levels that become really long due to the way that the switches are laid out, so it's really annoying for speedrunners to die here. I think M should be able to clear it out. It's not that hard. Oh, I say, as she
Why
failed.
did you?
Yeah, why indeed. Another very interesting tactics that we have on N++ is complaint tactics, complaint strats as they call them. When we are having trouble finishing a level, we can go to Discord and complain about it, and then suddenly 2 or 3 attempts later we manage to pull it off. So it's also a secret technique that we have that I hope other people will incorporate into other games, because I really think it has like a good social concept behind it. Ooh, it was close for a repeat there, but she managed to pull through. Death Ball surprise! What's the surprise? You get Death Balled. That's what. An immaculately mined moon. How's this immaculately mined? Okay. I guess this is a mine. A mine in terms of not the mines that are laid out, but a mine as in like a quarry kind of mine. I guess. I don't know. Now the drone level. drone maze. Oof. Okay, that's a lot cleaner. Just fall all the way down. What could possibly go wrong with that? And this is the harder part of this level. It's the last two drones that you want to fall, but they kind of don't have, and she just passes through. Who cares? E19, last episode of the series. This level, complete nightmare. I wouldn't touch it with a stick. Let's see if Em manages to perform this, because it has two instances. This first one, going up the chute, is kind of easy, and then going down the chute is a lot harder because you're swimming against the current of the drones, and then you still have to deal with the mini drones on the other side, which sometimes you can also misclick or mistap and get yourself nuked that way. Em's doing pretty well. Let's try out to jinx it on the mini drones. See. Okay. That was nice. Clean. Onwards. Oh, this one. You can see the plus from N++ there. So trademark situations going on. This level looks easy, but it's increasingly hard, especially near the end where you have to do that final slope jump. This one, I failed this one. Oh, you almost hit the mine there. I failed that one so much, so often. I gave up on the episode a couple of times just because I couldn't clear that first level of the episode. This one is also quite lengthier, but not that hard, as the harder part is probably this one here on the drones. You kind of have to have some patience, and they're kind of fat, so you have to wiggle your way around them. Nothing that Em can handle. Get the switch. Let's go home. There's also a small shortcut here that she took on her way back and forth. Usually you're supposed to go the other way around. Another interesting mechanic level. You have to hide in a little corner. And you start having more and more mines that you need to dodge as you go. Which makes it more accurate the further you go deeper into it. Oh. It has this weird shape that kind of looks like a bicycle lock kind of thing. It's interesting how they managed to put like the drones in a way that they are consistent. So they had to do that whole extra path just to make sure that the drones have exactly the same size. Oh, that hurt. Could help put mines there. There's also a lot of curses to the developers on the N++ Discord, so they usually hang around there, mostly Reagan, not Mare, but they get a lot of curses from random players over the demonic ways of their level creation. This level is total dredge to do under stress if you have little time left, and you usually do have little time left the first time you play this episode. You have to exactly stand on that trigger mine and not go in too deep while you have gauss and rockets on you. Really stressful. And now you have these jumps, and they try to trick you with these jumps. You think, oh, it's all the way up. No, you have to come back down and then go up again. And when you have the drones on you, that can be scary. Oof. Okay. Okay, that was enough. That was good. That was a pretty good run. How much was that?
Let's see what I got. Yep, it was a 38.11.
That was pretty good. 38.11. It's below your average. Wasn't your average 38 something? So yeah, congrats.
Really good run for marathon.
Yeah, that was a great run. On our side, you got a 38.22.
So you get your time flies faster on the stream. But I guess it's the frame rate difference that changes things.
All right. Thank you so much for that amazing run. We'll pass it off to the front while we get set up for the next game.
Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. So we wait up